You saw the title and thumbnail. In this video I'm going to be teaching you how to play Omen. Most agent guides I see on YouTube just tell you what the utility does, like we can't read that in game. I'm going to cover the basics, some less well-known ways to use Omen's utility, and what scenarios to use them in. The reason I'm structuring the video this way is so that when you find yourself in a situation similar to the scenarios I described, you know how to use your utility. I'm adding timestamps to this video so you can skip to where you need. Even if you think you know how Omen's kit works, I recommend watching the smokes portion of the kit section because I go over something I see so many people do wrong or not do at all. Omen is a controller agent who has dome smokes. We all knew that. If you didn't know that, go get your fucking eyes checked. What makes him unique and more fun than the rest of the dome smoke controllers is the flexibility regarding his playstyle. This is possible because of his kit. Speaking of his kit, let's talk about his basic ability, his smokes. Omen's smokes, as previously mentioned, are dome smokes. Omen's smokes are transparent on the inside and last 15 seconds. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, what makes Omen's smokes different from any other dome smokes is that you can place them anywhere. This allows for easy on-the-fly one-ways and falling smokes. By falling smokes, I mean when you put Omen's smoke in the air because his smokes allow you to do that, unlike any other dome smoke controller. Omen's smokes fall to the ground, hence the name falling smokes. Falling smokes can be used in a numerous amount of creative ways, one of them being Omen elevators.
Cover going out.
Basically, an Omen elevator is when you're on a high ground and you want to drop with cover, so you throw a smoke in the air in front of you and you fall with the smoke. Falling smokes can also be used when smoking choke points. While the smoke is in the air, you have a brief one-way and can spam the enemy before they get to play the game. I usually get a couple of free kills a game from this trick. Since Omen smokes have travel time, you want to make sure you don't swing the choke before the Omen smoke has popped. There's a really easy fix around this though. There's an indicator when you throw your Omen smoke. When the white triangle appears, you can swing safely. Falling smokes can also be used with TP to create temporary cover while the TP animation happens. This is up to your creativity though. The most important thing about Omen smokes, or just any smokes in general, is timing. Sure, you should know where the smoke should go, but anyone can do that from playing the game for more than 3 games. Real controller players should know when to throw their smokes. Too early and you telegraph to the enemy team where your team is hitting, and by the time your team is actually on site, the smokes have already faded and the enemies have rotated. Too late and your team enters without smokes, giving the enemy advantageous duels. This applies to defense as well. If you throw your smokes early because you heard like one footstep, the enemies can rotate and you won't have smokes for the other site. Too late and the enemy gets to entry for free. An extreme example that can help illustrate this is attacking Pearl B site. I start only with the hull smoke because that's a common but powerful spot that the enemies can play. The smoke allows my team to scale up B long without getting shot from hulls. Only once my team is up B long, I smoke heaven. If I were to smoke both hulls and heaven at the beginning of the round, my team would have 14 seconds to get up B long, clear all of sight, and get bombed down before the smokes faded. By chaining my smokes the way I do, I give my team 14 seconds to get up B long, and then another 14 seconds to clear sight and get bombed down without worrying about heaven. It's a simple concept, but I see so many people dump smokes at the beginning of the round or before their team is ready, and by the time their team is on the site, the smokes have already faded. Next up is Omen's flash. His flash is a near sight that lasts 2 seconds. You can also throw it 3 different ways. If you throw it while moving backwards, the blind travels slower through the air. This is good for denying an area for a longer amount of time because the slow flash either forces enemies to leave the area or be out of play for a longer amount of time. Don't get it confused though. This doesn't mean they're flash for a longer amount of time. They're always going to be flash for 2 seconds regardless of the method you use to throw your blind. Throwing the blind while traveling forward makes the blind travel faster through the air. This is good if you want an enemy to be blind quicker. Maybe you want to do a blind TP play, or maybe your teammates ask for it so they can peek something. This is when you want it to travel faster so enemies have less time to dodge it. The last and third way to throw your Omen blind is while not holding a forward or backwards key. This throws at a medium speed. This is for when you want maybe a little bit of both of the first 2 I mentioned. I'd say there's no real textbook way to use TP. You have to make opportunities to use TP or find the right opportunity to use it. TP has a lot of creative uses. You can use it to reposition, you can use the audio to bait enemies, you can go for a flash TP play. There's so many things you can do with it. Something to note when doing a flash TP play is if you have the space, try to TP to the side of them instead of behind them, because in higher ranks people expect the TP and usually check behind them first. Another thing that's good to know about TP is that you can get over 1 high boxes with it. Omen's ult really isn't the best ult in Valorant. You can use it to pick up bomb, you can ult for info, you can ult deep into the enemy's backline, or ult somewhere and cancel, and that puts pressure on the enemies. This is where the video really begins. The reason Omen is so good and fun to play is because how versatile his playstyle can be. You shouldn't just try to learn one of these playstyles, rather learn all of them and adapt to them as needed in your games. First up, in no particular order, is aggressive. With a good combination of smokes and TPs, you can play Omen like an entry duelist. Normally for these type of TP setups, you need to smoke a bit unorthodox, so make sure to let your team know before you do it. A good example is on Ascent A site. Normal smokes go heaven and tree. If you want to do a more aggressive play, you can smoke top gen and TP there, and then TP anywhere else on site. This means you're either missing a heaven smoke or a tree smoke, and you should communicate with your team how you're going to play around that. Maybe you could smoke gen and heaven and speedrun closing door, or have sage wall it off. Also with your flash and TPs, you can set yourself up for easy kills, kinda like how a duelist would. For defense, you can throw one-ways on main and take an aggressive peek. While support doesn't sound very appealing, you can get a lot of value from playing this way. Supportive Omen is one who throws default smokes and flashes for the team. This fits more under how a controller is thought to be played. Omen flash can deny huge chunks of sights when thrown correctly. That paired with default smokes that cut off rotators coming in to help and block power angles makes hitting a sight that much easier for your team. On defense, playing safer and flashing and smoking a choke can delay or sometimes completely halt a push. Omen's ability to lurk and still be present in the game is one of the strongest parts of his kit. Since Omen's smoke is universal, lurking or flanking on him is great. You can help your team while not being there. You can TP over trips and not get detected. Omen is one of the best agents to lurk on. Lurking can get you so much space and value if done correctly, but lurking is something that's hard to teach. You need to learn timings, trigger discipline, how map rotations work, and so much more. These are things you learn from trial and error and playing a lot of games. Like I said earlier, you should be able to switch through all of these playstyles depending on what your team needs. If your duelists aren't entering, you might need to switch to an aggressive playstyle to help get your team out on site. If your team is so close to securing rounds, but just need that 5th man instead of a lurk, you should go with them and play the supportive role. If your executes aren't working, you might need to switch to a lurk playstyle so you can work the map and get more space for your team to work with. I know my previous videos gave general tips on how to rank up, but I'm going to be starting a series on agent guides. The agents you can expect in the near future are KO, Raze, and Cypher. Not only that, I'll be making in-depth guides for each map and sharing my playbook, so subscribe if you want to be notified when those come out.